I remember when I grew up in Romania, at least in the neighborhood that I grew up in, there was a lot of racism between Romanians and Gypsies. And my parents, if I would have a gypsy friend, would tell me, don't play with that kid, he's bad news. My friends' parents would do the same to them. And the gypsy parents would also tell, their daughter, like, don't play with Romanians, they're not one of us. So there was like strong segregation. The only thing that managed to sort of break this segregation was soccer, to the point where you didn't have gypsies and Romanians in the same team, but you did have like Romanian team against the gypsy team playing together the same game. But on the sides, the people watching, the ones that were spectating, would sometimes get violent if the right team didn't win. And all of this was daily life. The only difference that happened was when people would play video games at the arcades. That was the only space where segregation didn't exist. There were these clubs and these bars that would have an arcade machine, the one with slots where you put coins, and people would go there, they would play. And you would see gypsy children with Romanian children together, not caring that they're gypsies, not caring and seeing the racial colors anymore. And it's why I think that games actually bring people together. Talking about video games, for instance, when I was playing World of Warcraft, the main tank in my guild was from Saudi Arabia. Despite the fact that our way of life and our ideology was completely different, despite the fact that we came from different backgrounds, we didn't care about that. All I cared about was how good was he at playing the game, how good was he at tanking. And within my guild, there were people from all around Europe, and of course, I didn't have people from America and from other places of the world because there were different servers for them. But when it came to the server I was playing on, I had people from Saudi Arabia, I had people from Sweden, Norway, Russia, United Kingdom. There were people from all over the continent, and not for once did I actually think about or care about that they're different people. The only thing we cared about is how well they're playing. I don't think there is a single community more inclusive than gamers. I honestly don't think that is. If you know of any community out there that is more inclusive than the one about video games, please let me know. I am willing to have a discussion. Like, okay, this community V is far more inclusive and welcoming than gamers. And I'll be like, okay, you know what? I was wrong. You're right. But when it comes to games, people don't care about race. People don't care about gender. They don't care about ideology. All they care is how good you are at playing that game. And this is my personal experience. Now, this is why I find it weird when a lot of journalists who aren't inclusive and they're very divisive constantly talk about how gamers aren't good enough. They're never, quite amazing the way they should be, and they constantly talk about making the community better. Now, I don't notice that the inclusivity is actually making a community better or not. If I'm thinking about the biggest shooting game that there is, like the one that's at the moment the most popular, it would be PlayerUnknown Battleground. And when you go to play PlayerUnknown Battleground, it is almost impossible in the starting plane not to hear the word nigger being uttered at least 10 times. And you can hear from the accent of the people that they're coming from different countries, that some of them might even be black, that all these people are playing and, they're having fun, they're using slurs, that it's this awful banter that should technically drive others away. However, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is actually one of the biggest multiplayer online games that revolve around shooters out there. And it has absolutely no policing in the community, absolutely no moderation, whatever, people can just go nuts. Meanwhile, another game, like Lawbreakers, that actually made a mission statement to be more inclusive. They were talking about transgender bathrooms, and they were talking about how progressive the developers are. And they were refusing certain outlets to promote their game because the outlet wasn't pure enough. Last time I checked, they had 20 people playing. And the game isn't bad, by the way, but, it's very inclusive, it's very progressive, and only 20 people playing. Well, at least I hope those 20 players aren't neo-Nazis. I hope they're right thinking and they're good, decent people, because at the end of the day, that's what they want, that's what they get. And people aren't paying money, so the game is going to go bankrupt, right? Now, let's talk a little bit about Blizzard and why this pisses me off. Is that Blizzard came up and decided, what are we going to do, because we don't deliver patches on time, because we promise people more characters and we're not delivering. What we are going to do, we're going to blame the fans for the lack of patches. We're going to blame the people who put bread and water on our table, that they're to blame. So they came up in this weird statement blaming the community for being toxic, and this is why they can't put out patches, because they have to focus moderating the community. And now, like sharks in the water, the progressive press are circling around Blizzard, constantly blaming them for their inability to curb the toxicity online. It's like, okay, first of all, you can't curb the toxicity online, and second, gamers are more interested with the gameplay than they are with the toxic environment. And third of all, banter also plays an important role in why people like playing video games. So let's address all of these issues, right? First of all, the gameplay. So according to the enlightened, according to the gaming press, if I were to, let's say, troll pick, and I would just pick a tank when there's already 3 tanks on the team and I would be the 4th, right? And I'm playing them and ruining the enjoyment of others. I'm just, by not doing what I'm supposed to do, I'm making 5 other people waste their time and not having fun of the game by me being selfish and me having fun. If one of those players calls me a cunt, then I guess he's to blame. He's the toxic one, not me. I'm not the one. He needs to be banned. He needs to, his money needs to be taken away for the game, the $40 that he played or what have you, and then he needs to be banned while I should be allowed to keep playing and grief other people. Which is completely ridiculous, right? The second one is the slurs and other things. Like, no one is asking you not to turn the chat off. You can turn that shit off. I've been playing games since I grew up. I played Diablo 2. There was no moderation in Diablo 2 whatsoever. I played StarCraft. No moderation. All of these games that I played had no moderation. This is a new thing that apparently it's up to the developer to spend money and resources, so we can't get patches, so they can't get shit done and spend more waste money on that. Because apparently people don't know how to behave. It's like the community can handle these people. In World of Warcraft, if someone was toxic, we would handle him by not playing with him. But let's talk about toxicity, because this is something that is really interesting. Now, I took this from a psychological website, right, that talks about human psychology and how to notice when a person is toxic. Every one of these things apply to the journalists, to the progressive press that constantly bitch that gamers are toxic. So nothing you can say or do is good enough, right? So even in this article, it is so funny to the point where I just bursted out laughing. So the game's diverse cast of characters, right? So Blizzard was told that it's not being diverse enough. So it said, okay, you know what? We're going to be diverse. We're going to have characters of every single creed. We're going to have young women, old women, fat women. We're going to have like the most diverse cast that you have ever seen. Not good enough. Because apparently it's not perfect, because one of their characters is like a racial stereotype according to them, which is Doomfist, which is like one of the most interesting characters in the game. They don't care about how you play Doomfist. They don't care about his kit, his gameplay, the role that he had. No, all they care is like, oh no, his accent, it's stereotypical, and it's like, okay, you have a game that stereotypes a lot of the characters there. That's what the game does, right? So you want more black people in, but because the game stereotypes everyone, when you put black people in, they get stereotyped. So you don't like it? It's like, why did you ask for black people in the first place? But this is what a toxic person do. Nothing you can say or do is good enough. Number 2, they comment on the smallest flaw or perceived imperfection. So apparently, despite the fact that Blizzard comes up and says, yeah, we're going to stomp out toxicity, we're going to do our best, not good enough. There is that one toxic player left. Why doesn't he get kicked? And by the way, this is even funny, like the article talks about how Riot handles toxicity, but they don't mention the fact that the person Riot hired as the lead team member of that strike force to handle toxicity in Riot was found toxic, and he was fired because of his toxic comments. They don't bring that up, but this is what Blizzard needs to do. They need to do like Riot and hire toxic people in charge of the community. Number 3, they drag up your past and won't allow you to be different. How many times did you hear about it? White people are racist, so that's why they can't play video games, because their ancestors were racist to other people. Isn't this like number 3? Number 4, they act like they are fabulous and never make mistakes. When did you hear a game journalist accuse another game journalist of doing something bad? In fact, they are almost like a priestly class. They're almost like the aristocracy. You can never point and blame them for anything. The last time gamers had the audacity to blame a journalist for having sex with a female game developer in order to give her positive coverage, Gamergate happened and all the journalists formed rank. And to the point where we even had access to some of their emails, and they were like, who here hasn't fucked a female game developer or a female PR person? Hashtag am I right? So they're acting like that. But the moment you point at them, they're like, oh, no, we're flawless. We don't have mistakes. They're critical, controlling, and don't think about your needs. They don't care about what the player wants. The player, for instance, would love if Overwatch would have a better matchmaking so that people don't grief anymore. Would love if players would, for instance, be able to sign up as tank or as DPS before the match starts so that, that there's less likely the chance of free DPSers coming up or free tank coming up. They would love if DLC and microtransactions would be a little bit, less invasive or shit. They never talk about these things. They never talk about what the gamer wants. They only talk about what the journalist wants to see from gamers. They leave you feeling beaten, wounded, battered, bruised, and torn. I don't think this even needs any sort of justification. Like constantly being told that you're a horrible and disgusting person and you need to change, you need to do better. It's like, and no matter how much you try, it's never good enough. They violate your boundaries and they never respect no. Like if you tell them the community is inclusive, the community is whatever you want it to be. There's black people winning at fighting games. There's Asian people winning at MOBAs. There's Russian people winning out Counter-Strike. There's like, everyone is represented. No, absolutely not. They don't care about your feelings and they like to see you suffer. I remember when Mass Effect 3 had the awful ending and a lot of the gamers were disappointed. They took, parts with the company. No journalist actually cares about the gamers. This is something that I noticed time and time again. And it's always about them and what they think, what they want and feel. Honestly, this was so enlightening when I saw it. It's like, this describes video game journalists to a T. If anyone disagrees, please let me know. Please tell me, no, of course, they care about the feelings of the gamers. Yes, the journalists always care, If only you do this, like, they asked for this, people did this, and they were happy, they were satisfied. They never are. I remember when I grew up in Romania, at least in the neighborhood that I grew up in, there was a lot of racism between Romanians and Gypsies. And my parents, if I would have a Gypsy friend, would tell me, don't play with that kid, he's bad news. My friends' parents would do the same to them. Same team, but you did have like Romanian team against the Gypsy team, playing together the same game, but on the sides, the people watching, the ones that were spectating, would sometimes get violent if the right team didn't win. And all of this was... and you would see Gypsy children with Romanian children together, not caring that they're Gypsies, not caring and seeing the racial colors anymore. And it's why I think that games actually bring people together. And the Gypsy parents would also tell, their daughter, like, don't play with Romanians, they're not one of us. So there was, like, strong segregation. The only thing that managed to sort of break this segregation was soccer, to the point where you didn't have Gypsies and Romanians in the same daily life. The only difference that happened was when people would play video games at the arcades. That was the only space where segregation didn't exist. There were these clubs and these bars that would have an arcade machine, the one with slots where you put coins, and people would go there, they would play.